Dear Kenyans, however fast we become, we can never outrun corruption. However wealthy we become, we can never outspend corruption. However strong we become, we can never wrestle down corruption. Reason being, we have sanitized theft of public resources and called it corruption. Many have even called for it to be legalized, which shows that they have already resigned to this politically orchestrated fate. And now it is called hustling. It is to make it or make it at whatever cost. It doesn't matter who dies, whose child sleeps hungry, or whose doesn't go to school. The theft of public resources means we can't have well equipped and staffed schools, no recreation facilities to nurture talent, or even well equipped and staffed public hospitals. Yet, we have billions for political parties when university lecturers aren't getting paid, doctors and nurses are on shoestring budgets, while teachers have to make do with minimum wage despite the fact that they shape our society. We all know corruption costs money. We talk about stolen billions, lost opportunities, unbuilt roads, and purchased medicines. But what we rarely confront, what we rarely say out loud is this: we do not just lose money to corruption, we lose people, we lose lives. Every time a bribe replaces merit, someone's safety is compromised. Every time a tender is inflated, someone's treatment becomes unaffordable. Every time public money is stolen, someone's last chance slips away. Corruption is not abstract. It is not paperwork. It is not politics. It is a mother in an overcrowded ward without oxygen. It is Betty Bayo in her last minutes of life when she has to be shuffled through and to hospitals to get that end of life care. Corruption is a child in an ambulance that never arrives. It is a student trapped in a school with faulty wiring because the inspector was paid to look away. We cannot outrun corruption because corruption stands directly in the path of the strong and the vulnerable. We just laid Betty Bayo to rest, and I can't imagine the life her children will have to live without a mother. Betty was privileged in her later life after struggling to make it in life. She had to struggle because corruption had made sure that education funds could not reach her and enable her to achieve her dream. And when she was just making it, barely 40, a young mother with so much promise and a whole lifetime ahead of her, death snatched her, robbing her family of a light that had offered some glimmer of hope. Despite her influential friends who could raise millions in minutes, the lack of a hospital that could take care of her in her vicinity means that despite the influence, corruption made it impossible for her to get critical care that could have probably prolonged her life. Even for a few months, it could have counted. And now, flip this and think of all the vulnerable children without influential circles to call for help, and see how no one is able to escape the snare. Betty was a young woman whose life might have been saved if help had come when it was needed. But like so many others, she found herself trapped in a system where emergency care depends on who you know, how much you have, or whether someone in authority chooses to act. Her story mirrors the experiences of countless families across the country, families who arrive at a hospital only to be told to come back later, or bring money first, or the equipment isn't working. Betty's death wasn't caused by fate. It was caused by a system that failed her. A system weakened, distorted, and hollowed out by corruption. Well, theft of public resources. And now look at the tragedies we've seen over the years. Buildings that collapse because contractors used cheap materials. Roads that flood because drainage budgets disappeared. Hospitals that run out of medicine because someone inflated procurement prices. Students lost because school safety funds were misused. Entire communities displaced because oversight was bought off. In each case, the headlines tell us accident. But the truth is far simpler and far harder to accept. These are not accidents. They are the predictable consequences of corruption, theft of public resources. We try to escape by blaming the government or shrugging or telling ourselves this is just how things work. But corruption reaches everywhere. Corruption touches every institution. Corruption affects everyone, from the wealthy who can buy their way out to the poor who are left with no options at all. We cannot outrun corruption until we confront the fact that corruption is theft of public resources that denies us the opportunities to realize our full potential. The truth is that change does not begin with perfect systems. It begins with refusing to normalize injustice. It begins with refusing to look away. It begins with insisting that every stolen shilling costs more than money. It costs lives. So the next time someone tells you corruption is just part of life, remember people like Betty and all those who never made it to the headlines. We cannot outrun corruption, but we can stop running and start fighting back.